Okay, so let's talk about how our first 30 days went. Like, how do we get our first clients? How did we even, what did we do? Like, what happened within the first 30 days?
Hey guys, welcome back to NEMT Van Talks. I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Monica.
And we're the owners of an NEMT business based in California. Now, today we are going to answer your question. So we got a question about how was our first 30 days as NEMT business owners? And also, how was the process when we hired our first driver?
So do you actually remember our first 30 days?
It's been almost 5 years.
It has.
I have to admit, there are some things that I don't remember, but there are some things that do stand out.
Right. I can remember this process because I was so excited when we first started. Even though certain moments are kind of like a blur for me, I can say the first 30 days were very exciting. I think it was exciting for both of us.
Yeah. So one of the things was they delivered that van to the house.
Yes.
And when they delivered that van to the house,
do we have a video of that?
I don't think so.
I wonder because
actually the general manager of Mobility Works in San Fernando Valley actually delivered, drove the van over like an hour and a half away to deliver the van to my house. And I was just so excited.
We were so excited because I think that was the moment it made it official.
Yeah,
it's real. We did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was also a sign of like, okay, now we got this car note.
Yep.
We got to get to work.
We got this car note. We know we had this insurance coming in. We had all of this overhead coming in, but we didn't have any revenue coming in at the time.
Right.
But don't get discouraged, because even though we didn't have any revenue at that time, we knew what we had to do to make it happen, and we made it happen.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, we really didn't have a strong plan in place.
No.
We knew that we had to make it happen.
Yep.
But we had an idea of what we needed to do, but we didn't start the process of marketing until after we got our van.
Yep.
Like, if I could go back, I probably would have started marketing the business maybe like 30 days before we actually got the van, so that way we could have had some type of traction. But that's okay.
Yeah.
Because within our first month of business, we had about 5 to 6 private pay clients.
We was working with the broker.
Yes, we had a contract.
We had a contract with the broker. That
was paying pennies.
They were paying more than the broker that we initially, when they went out of business. They were paying pennies.
Yeah. So the broker that we were working with had got bought out by another broker. So when Monica says that, so we were working with one broker, they were paying us pennies to us now, but back then we was like, okay.
Oh, back then we thought we were balling.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, we felt like we were making money, like. Yeah.
And so that broker got bought out by another broker, and then we had to renegotiate our rates, and when we renegotiated our rates, they paid us less.
Yes, they weren't as favorable as the initial broker were.
Yeah.
But working with, like we always say, working with that broker, we were able to establish our business and bring about new clients, work with, generate private pay clients. And so it really helped us figure out, like, okay, how does this system work? What do we do next? Because we were gaining that experience that we needed.
So although we said that we didn't really have a plan, but we knew what we had to do, one of the steps that we actually did prior to getting our first van was start that conversation with the NEMT brokers. So you're probably thinking like, okay, the first 30 days, how did you get a service contract? We had already started those conversations. So that's why we always tell you guys, like, if you know you want to work with a transportation broker, start having those conversations now, so that when you do have your vehicle and you're ready to roll, the process is going to be a whole lot smoother. And if you're looking for NEMT brokers in your area. We actually have a nationwide NEMT brokers list on our website. Definitely go ahead and check it out. It has over 20 nationwide brokers on there. I'll leave the link below. Another thing that we did to really get traction coming in, because I'm going to be honest, it was not easy for us to get private pay clients. We did research the industry, but there wasn't a lot of information out there. So we just kind of did what we felt was the right thing to do. And so when we were out there, doing trips, we would leave brochures, we would leave our business cards, we would be friendly, we would look professional. We had on our color shirts with our business logo on here. Every time we went into a facility, we greeted them with a hello, with a smile. We treated our clients like gold, because essentially they are the ones that are keeping your business going. So,
and you never know, like, honestly, you're right. You treat them like gold because that's how they're keeping your business going. And they will continue to come back. They will continue to schedule more trips with your business. And so you need to be able to bring on those clients, those repeat customers, because that's what you're looking for. That's how you're going to grow and expand your business. So you're right. We did treat every single person with care, empathy, sympathy, all the above. And like we always say, we didn't just provide a ride. It was an experience when you stepped into our vehicles. I love to say that, that, because it's true. And that's one of the things that we stand by. And I think that was one of the things that stood us out from our competition and our competitors, were the things that we did differently. The level of care that we provided our clients.
We were just happy to be there.
We were happy to be there.
We were happy to say, yes, this is our business. But I think another thing is, let's talk about driving, having these clients in the back seat, building connections with them. We literally, even though we were transporting the broker's clients, we literally built relationships with these individuals that we were serving. So when they called the broker, they're like, okay, I want
they requested for us
MJ Reliable Transportation. I don't want to ride with anyone else. Sometimes we would have clients that say, let me have your brochure, because when you take me back into my skilled nursing facility, I'm going to tell my case manager about the experience that I had and how awesome your company was. So these are all things that, that helped us grow to where we are today. So really establishing
that connection.
But essentially it was actually, that's how we got our wheels turning. That
was literally the first 30 days.
Absolutely.
Contract in place, working with a small amount of private pay clients. Now let's talk about our very first private pay customer.
Ooh.
We both were nervous. I'm gonna be honest with you, we both did that trip the same day. We were together because it was our first time, our first experience, and he was a doctor. So we knew, we were like, okay, this moment could make us or break us. That's what we were thinking. We were like, okay, is this maybe an opportunity for us to get a contract? Where is he a doctor at? We were thinking about all of these things. And so we both were so nervous, but it turned out.
He was a doctor, but he was also, how could I say this without he was up here. I'm talking about a doctor with big bucks.
We were in Beverly Hills, right? It was
big bucks.
Yeah.
Big bucks, y'all. So, yes, I'm talking lavish. I swear his condo, I ain't never seen it. His condo was a house. I'm telling you.
Yes.
But I oh my God, he made us feel so comfortable.
He did. And he had no idea this was our first trip. He felt like we had been doing this for ages. He had no clue. We didn't let him know we were new at this. Even when it came to securing the wheelchair,
we were confident.
Yes. And that is one of the things that you have to be. Even though it may be your first time, it may be your first trip, or whatever the case may be, you have to show that you're confident, you have to believe in yourself, and don't let them know like, I'm totally lost in this moment. Like, take your time and figure it out. And I think that's what we did.
He made us feel really comfortable, and we got the trip done. I think our very first trip we made around 200
because we waited with him.
Yeah, we made about 276. 276. It was a wheelchair round trip. And after that first appointment, he booked several more. He became one of our faves. I haven't heard from him in a while.
It's been a while.
I hope he's okay.
I know.
That's another thing. When you're in this industry, you're dealing with people that have chronic health conditions. So when you don't hear from people in a while, you begin to get wary.
You just checked in on one of our clients last week.
I did.
Yeah, you did.
And even with checking in on clients, like, I always think, like, I hope they don't think that I'm calling just to say where's the money at,
right?
Because I'm genuinely concerned
about their world. I mean, because it happens. It's a natural attract. Like when you're doing this, it's not just about the money. You know what I mean? Like, you build a rapport, you build a connection. You know, and so you're genuinely concerned about their well-being.
We actually went to a client's funeral before, so like, if our client passed on, like, I want to be there to support
the family,
the husband, wife, family, in any way that we possibly can. So, you know, because it's not just a trip, it's a relationship that we built with our clients. But, you know, to really sum it up, our first 30 days was very adventurous.
Yes.
We learned a lot, we seen a lot, we made a lot of connections, we transported a ton of people, we put a bunch of miles on our van. And
wait, hold on, before we sum it up though, we have to talk about our experience driving too. Like, when we pulled up to pick up clients, and initially they're thinking that, okay, you're just a driver, not knowing that we were the owners. Like, I'm gonna be so honest with you all, like, that's another thing too. You are perceived differently when your customers know that you're the driver versus the owner. Okay, the conversation is totally different, which is sometimes can be unfortunate, but it is. It's just the reality. When you're the driver, they communicate with you like that. Like, they want to tell you how to get to the destination quicker. They don't want you to use your GPS.
Well, is the owner treating you fairly?
Yes.
How much are you making per hour?
And then when you turn that conversation and you're like, well, I am the owner, right? Oh, good for you. How long have you been in business? Women empowerment. Like,
oh, the conversation is different.
It's different.
They even be willing to give you opportunities.
Yes.
Like, we had one lady who was she worked at this agency, and she was a marketing director.
Yep.
And she started like giving tips. You know, offering free services, because they wanted to, you know, once you start talking to them and building relationships, they want to help you sometimes. So but yeah, it is, they do look at you differently. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I want to share this with you guys. Never feel like you are less than if you are driving your own van as the owner. Because what's the difference from going to go work for somebody, right? You working for somebody else and you making somebody else money. They okay with that. But when you driving your own van and you doing your own thing, and they think you the driver and not the owner, they want to treat you different.
But hold on, let's be clear too. When we were driving our vehicles, we initially said that we wanted to learn this business in and out before we even brought on any drivers. So one of the reasons why we drove our vehicles is because we wanted to know this business in and out. We wanted to know what to expect, how to problem solve with our drivers when things happen, how to troubleshoot, like any and everything that could happen. We wanted to experience it, so that when we did bring on new drivers, we knew how to train them, we knew how to onboard them, we knew exactly what they needed to know, because again, it's confidence, right? We want to give them the confidence that they need in order to feel comfortable driving for us. And so that was one of the reasons why we did decide to drive our vehicles too initially. And we always encourage people to, like, we get it.
And we were able to.
Yeah.
You know, I know some people may start this business and you may not be able to drive your own vans. And then also, if you are starting off driving your own van, you're keeping your overhead down.
Yes.
So that means that you're not putting as much money out.
You're able to invest back into your business. Right?
So I'm glad we did that, and honestly, I enjoy driving the van. I really do.
I did. It was I honestly did as well. Like, it was very rewarding for me. Like, I did. To this day, I still love driving. So
yeah,
you know.
So let's talk about, you know, hiring our first driver. How did we know it was time to hire our first driver?
When I got tired of driving. I'm just saying.
It was not when you got tired of driving.
No, but you're right. I mean, well, when we brought out our second vehicle, and I think it was more so like towards the end of that first year, and you guys should know this already, we paid cash money for our second vehicle. And so
cash money,
yeah, ching ching. So at that time, we knew that, okay, it's time for us to grow and expand. And how we knew that.
Let me insert this.
What?
The first year in business, we grossed well over 6 figures.
Yeah.
So we had the funds. We had it to invest in a driver.
And then we also knew it was time too, because when you start, people ask this question all the time: how do you know? How do you know? Well, you know when you are consistently turning down trip, when your calendar is consistently filled, and you need a second vehicle to your business could use a second vehicle to make more money, then you know. But it has to be consistently. This has to be consistent. So you can't just say, oh, this week I turned down 10 or 15 extra clients. No. You need to do it by like at least 3 months, like consistently 3 months. You can average and say, well, you lost well over 100 clients or what have you. And so you kind of can gauge and say, now it's time for me to think about implementing a second vehicle and bringing on the driver.
But I want to say this too: don't let that just be broker trips.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. Because I'm glad you mentioned that, because Jasmine is so right. If you base that off of brokerage trips, keep in mind that a broker can terminate your contract at any time. So meaning, like, just like you a contract with that broker, the more they bring on new providers, the less your trip volume may be, right? And it doesn't happen all the time, but you still want to keep that in mind. You don't want to just think or base your business solely off of that broker that you're working with. Because if that contract stopped any day, you're still responsible for the operation of your business.
Yep. Absolutely.
So
hiring the first driver, what was that process like? We did take to Indeed.
Yes.
To search for our first driver. Would I do Indeed again? No.
I mean, we received some applicants from Indeed, but I will tell you,
if you are enjoying this content that we're sharing, please be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share this video with other individuals that may be interested in getting into this industry.
Absolutely. All right. So, what would you say about Indeed? Oh, so see how she threw me off? So, with Indeed, we did receive a lot of applicants from Indeed. One of the things that I can tell you is that you want to be very clear in what you're looking for in your driver, right? And so you want to go into your interviews with that mentality, and you want to make sure you thoroughly review your resumes, and you're clear in your job description of what the business entail. The reason I say that is because we did interview some people from Indeed, and because we were the owners and they were male applicants, we could tell based on their response to certain questions, based on their demeanor, that they would have a hard time taking authority
working underneath us.
Or working underneath us. And so we didn't want that. We didn't want it to be like a power struggle.
We wanted a team.
Yes. And so you just want to be mindful of that as you a woman.
Can I say something about that too? It wasn't just about working under a woman. And I know what scenario you're talking about. It was working for a black woman.
Yeah.
Sad to say, but yes.
So you have to, and she's absolutely right. So with all of those things, you want to be mindful, right? Because you don't want to put someone in those positions to sabotage your business. And so if you feel that, if your gut is telling you, this is not right, don't go for it. Okay. So, however, we did find our first driver through Indeed, and one of the things that stood out on his resume was that he was a retired school bus driver. Those are great attributes that you want to look for because they have the experience driving larger vehicles. They have the experience being, polite, knowing how to communicate, even though they're probably working with students. They still have the experience because sometimes they may be driving a bus that has a wheelchair, and so when they're transporting students, and so because of that, they have the experience that we're looking for. Even though they may not have driven for an NEMT provider before, they do have the experience. And
just interacting with people in general. And of course, if they're dealing with children, then they have patience.
Yes.
And when you're dealing with seniors, you gotta have patience.
Absolutely.
But I will say that we learned, even with hiring drivers and posting in Indeed, we learned a lesson with that too. We learned that you have to be very descriptive in what you're looking for, because if not, you'll have all type of candidates that don't even qualify for the job. I'm talking, I got people, I was reviewing applicants that worked at the grocery store, fast food,
and there's nothing wrong with that, but they wasn't right, and they didn't know exactly what they were applying for, because sometimes when you're on Indeed, you're just throwing your resume out there. But
and every time they click it, they apply, you get charged as a business owner. So I would, if you do not know what you should be looking for,
tell them where to go, Jasmine,
in a driver, definitely go onto our website. We have a already created job application and a job description for purchase. So if you guys are interested, definitely, I'll leave the link below. Definitely check that out. It'll save you time, headache, and just make the process easier when you're in the hiring process. So
I mean, essentially that was our first 30 days, and which led us up towards the end of the year. So
so I do want to touch on trainings. So training our very first driver, our trainings were based on the requirements of the contracts that we had in place. So when we talk about go to CTAA for some of those wheelchair securement courses, for defensive driving training, all of these trainings were required based on the contracts that we had. So it was really easy for us essentially to implement training.
It was. And then also, I know we talked about this before too, but also when your drivers complete those trainings, you want to make sure you have an employee file in place. Those trainings, those certifications should go within that employee file. You want to make sure you also keep a copy of that application on file as well. Any type of emergency contact, if something happens to that driver while they're driving your vehicle, you want to know who to reach out to. All of those things should also be included in that employee file. Copy of their ID, social security card, anything that you could think of that may be important that you want to have on file, just keep it there, right? If you have to reprimand that employee, any type of written notices or whatever you have to give them, like, make sure you keep a copy of all of the documents on file, in file, as well. So you do want to make sure you have a detailed employee file.
And I have one tip.
What's that?
If you hire a driver and you know that this driver is not going to be a great fit for your business, or if you feel like you have to continue to retrain this driver just too much, like, don't even waste time. Let them go and find someone else. We have to normalize not wasting time trying to make someone what
Yeah.
they're not.
Yeah.
So, yep.
All right. That was good. All right. So I'm sure we answered your question and so many more.
Yeah, this was a really good question.
This was a good question.
Thank you so much for leaving that question. Well, the question that we addressed today in our comment section. And I want to say, if you have a question, if you would like for us to create our YouTube videos surrounding a specific topic or subject, definitely leave it in the comment section. And I want to know, if you own an NEMT business, what was your first 30 days in business like? You know, what were some of the challenges that, you know, you had to overcome? What were some experiences that you enjoyed?
Yeah.
All right.
Ciao.
Bye.